Poor Jimmy. True, it was a terrible night for women, children, and for the hundreds of thousands of hard-working immigrants who cut his lawn.
It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For healthcare.
You know what? If I ever cry on TV, it'll be because Maroon 5 put out a new song. But that's it. You big.
Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld, normally miles apart in style, teamed up like superheroes united by one mission. And the villain of the night was not a purple titan, but Jimmy Kimmel's ego. The clash felt seismic. One volley after another hammered Kimmel's image until he was hugging his jokes like a child clutching a favorite blanket. Late-night television was once a cozy island where laughter ruled no matter who viewers voted for.
Back in the day when I was on the primetime of Fox and you were on the primetime of CNN, a couple of hours after our shows ended, late-night comics would come on, and they occasionally would make us laugh, Piers. I mean, occasionally they understood that they were in the game of making everyone laugh. As you know, they've abandoned that game now, and they're just political operatives out there. Colbert, Kimmel, Seth Meyers, who I struggle to even mention that guy's name. He's such an absolute, I can't stand him. But anyway, it's just my thought bubble out loud.
Comics then knew the main rule of the job was simple: make everyone laugh. That rule book has been tossed aside, and current hosts such as Colbert, Kimmel, and Seth Meyers now serve lectures instead of laughs. One host in particular delivers each segment the way a stern teacher scolds a class, only with extra self-pride and even fewer smiles.
All right, so a Republican has won an election, and you know what that means. Jimmy Carter has to stay alive for 4 more years. It's also time for liberals to tell themselves that they're still right about everything and their hysteria and delusions of persecution are perfectly normal. Yet right now, they're melting like that stick of butter Joy Behar keeps between her thighs to prevent chafing. Case in point, last night, all the other late-night hosts threw a hissy fit. It's too bad Tim Walz is still grieving, or he could send them all a sack of industrial-strength tampons.
If smugness could be bottled, Kimmel might out-earn every tech giant ever built. He offers not relief through humor, but lessons on moral virtue, complete with gourmet coffee in hand, and a side dish of scorn for anyone who disagrees. Each victory by the party he dislikes sparks televised grief. He reminds viewers how awful life will be for the poor, the children, and truth itself, whenever results do not match his wish list. Remember the man who once emceed bikini contests and beer pong? Now he markets himself as the last guardrail between society and chaos. That is not growth. It is rebranding. Awkward, desperate rebranding.
We're post.
We took a look at some of their reactions to the news of Trump's win. Look at this.
Hey there. How are you doing? If you watch the show regularly, I'm guessing you're not doing great. Yeah, me neither.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For healthcare, for our climate. It was a terrible night for poor people, for our allies in Ukraine.
Night after night, he rises from a comedy graveyard with monologues that read like posts lifted straight from a social media diary, but wrapped in flashy studio lights. They are not jokes, they are moral lessons. They are not humor, they are applause lines meant to signal the correct opinion.
Late night host Jimmy Kimmel is back on the air after taking the summer off. He's missed a lot. Kimmel says if you're not vaccinated, you shouldn't get a hospital ICU bed. But I'm not sure if Jimmy was being sincere because he wasn't crying. Anyway, it's just funny hearing someone say, "I see you," who nobody actually sees. Look, I don't want to suggest that Kimmel's show has become boring and predictable, but last night during the taping, people in the studio audience were changing the channel.
Many viewers thought they were watching an award show for public sorrow rather than satire. When Kelly and Gutfeld pointed out the shift, they did not yell. They simply reflected it back like a mirror, and the reflection was brutal. This is no longer sharp satire. It is sanitized commentary shaped by corporate approval and practiced outrage. Kimmel once teased both sides. Today, every barb feels like an office-safe joke typed on a slideshow. Nothing edgy, nothing risky. Only gender rebellion packaged for social media. Gutfeld contrasts that with spur-of-the-moment punchlines that land in 5 seconds, while Kimmel needs 5 written hours. There is no need to aim high when the target is already on the floor of relevance. Watching the takedown felt more like an intervention than a beating, because the product on offer is no longer comedy. It is comfort food for one narrow slice of the audience. Even the delivery has changed. What once looked like stand-up now feels like a hostage video.
You know how much it costs to produce Jimmy Kimmel's show? I guarantee you it's tens and tens of millions. It could be as much as 100 million. I have no idea. You know how much Tucker's video cost? Nothing. You know how much Jimmy Kimmel, how many people he gets tuning in on an average night? Just last week, his average was, in the overall, meaning all viewers, 1.5 million. In the key demo, 236,000. Tucker would have been embarrassed to pull that on any night he was on the Fox News channel. That's what they're getting now. Tucker's numbers were 3 times what Jimmy Kimmel gets. And Tucker's little basement video that he did from clearly like his cabin that he broadcast out of Maine in literally has 21 million views. Okay? 21 million views. Whereas, as I point out, on ABC, a massive network that comes into your home for free, that you have to make no effort to find, at best, Jimmy Kimmel can get 1.5 million. He needs to have a little self-perspective before going out there and hurling these insults because he looks a little silly.
Whispered jokes, worried brows, and tears timed with the accuracy of a Swiss clock. Tragedy? Tears. Policy debate? More tears. Lost award? Even more tears. The emotional theater has become a co-star competing with every punchline. Meanwhile, ratings slide even though the budget could fund a blockbuster. Gutfeld does not perform virtue. He pokes at hypocrisy, which is what comedy should do. Push boundaries rather than color inside them. Kimmel, once co-host of The Man Show, now sells moral sermons delivered on LED floors with a full orchestra of approval. His past highlights, reading mean tweets and running beach games, now drown under lectures dressed as satire. He claims to challenge power while cushioned by millions, backed by media giants, and mocking critics from a safe distance. Meanwhile, creators in modest studios rack up tens of millions of views. One basement video by Tucker Carlson gathered 21 million in a flash. Numbers Kimmel cannot touch with his prime slot and massive crew. Kelly stripped away the sparkle and called him a paid voice posing as anti-establishment, while she presented facts, and he performed sympathy.
Poor Jimmy. True, it was a terrible night for women, children, and for the hundreds of thousands of hard-working immigrants who cut his lawn.
It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO, for the truth and democracy and decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
The format has not evolved, it has decayed. Once sharp, now dull. Once rebellious, now obedient. A never-ending screensaver of partisan validation on loop.
Last night was the 96th Academy Awards show, and while you might have missed it, there was one clear winner. No, not Oppenheimer. It was sanctimonious leftists for their lead role in pretending they are better than you. Several people shared in this achievement. Winner number 1, Jimmy Kimmel. For the 4th time, Kimmel hosted the Oscars before an adoring crowd of Hollywood stars who laughed and curried favor with the man who wore blackface so many times he's second only to Justin Trudeau in his fondness for the practice. Yes, some of the very same celebrities who wanted you to believe they were horrified after yours truly said in 2018 that people used to don dark makeup in order to imitate well-known black celebrities and it wasn't a big deal. Absolutely ate up the performance by Hollywood darling Mr. Kimmel.
Billy Crystal, who once performed in blackface, recently received a high honor. Kimmel, who also appeared in blackface in the past, remains celebrated by an industry that claims outrage over such acts. The double standard is not hidden. It is just accepted.
Remember when Johnny Carson cried like a baby over Ronald Reagan getting elected? Yeah, neither do I. And you know why he didn't? Because his wife didn't keep his balls in a Tupperware container next to a box of tofu burgers. But the killer phrase was at the end when Kimmel said, "You just don't realize it." Because you see, he's smarter than you, and he needs you to know that. And his ego can't bear that there's someone out there more famous and more influential than him. I got news for you, Kimmel. The last time you mattered, Bruce Jenner still had a penis. Love you, Bruce.
Here lies the real punchline. Kimmel became a thing he used to roast. Not an outsider shaking the cage, but the cage itself, polished, controlled, predictable. Comedy traded places with comfort, and laughter was swapped for lectures.
Jimmy's career peaked with busty girls on trampolines. Now the only boob we see is him. He once co-hosted The Man Show. Now he's sobbing like he just watched Steel Magnolias 3 days into his menstrual cycle.
The tears will roll on. So will the hashtags. So will the moral monologues wearing a smile mask. Real comedy. The kind that throws grenades at every direction and land with bang. Walked off stage long ago, leaving only safe speeches behind.
Whose blackface costumes included his oft-repeated bit as basketball star Karl Malone.
Now, Karl Malone never seen no flying saucer himself, but if he do, that's gonna be a spooky time.
And let's not forget Oprah in a fat suit.
15 minutes a day is all you need to get your heart rate up.
This past 2 weeks, they had the Kennedy Center honors the other night where Joe Biden couldn't say Dionne Warwick. He kept calling her Diane, and he didn't know who Barry Gibb was. He kept calling him Billy. You know who else was honored? At the Kennedy Center. You know who else? Billy Crystal. Just FYI, do you know who once opened up the Academy Awards in full blackface?
Oh,
Billy
yeah.
Crystal. Billy Crystal. And do you know who's going to be hosting the Academy Awards this year? Jimmy Kimmel. Do you know who's worn blackface repeatedly and spoken inner city sort of urban accent saying she needs to darn those socks? Jimmy Kimmel as Oprah, as a fat-suited, black-faced, darning socks Oprah. Now, if you are of the left, that's fine.